What does faith in Jesus Christ look like? Faith looks a lot like walking up a mountain. In Genesis, God tells Abraham multiple times that he will multiply his descendants as many as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore, and he will establish his covenant through his son Isaac. In Genesis 15:5, God tells Abraham that he will have as many descendants as the stars in the sky. Again, in Genesis 22:17, God tells Abraham he'll have as many descendants as the sand on the seashore. Don't you love how God tells him that? God doesn't just say, you'll have a lot of descendants. He uses a beautiful analogy. But God makes it clear to Abraham that these promises will come through his son Isaac. And we can read that in Genesis 21:12. So Abraham knows two things. God promised him countless descendants, and God promised him they would come through Isaac. Then in Genesis 22, God does something that seems impossible to understand. He tells Abraham to take his only son Isaac and offer him as a burnt sacrifice. Now, pause there. From a human perspective, that makes no sense. How can God keep his promise if Isaac is gone? But faith isn't knowing the outcome. Faith is trusting the one who gave the promise. Hebrews explains this moment beautifully. In Hebrews 11:17 through 19, we read that Abraham believed God could raise Isaac from the dead if necessary. Abraham didn't know how God would do it. He just knew God would be faithful. And we see Abraham's faith revealed in a powerful sentence. When they reach the mountain, Abraham tells his servants in Genesis 22:5, y'all stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go up there to worship and come back again to you. So Abraham is walking up that mountain, believing God has a plan, even though that plan makes no sense. And when Abraham raises that knife, God stops him. And this is where people often ask, why would God ask that of Abraham at all? God wasn't trying to kill Isaac. He was revealing Abraham's faith. If God had told Abraham, don't worry, I'll stop you before anything happens, that wouldn't be faith, because Abraham would already know the ending. Real faith is obedience without seeing the outcome. Here's another real-life example. Imagine a firefighter running into a burning building because a trusted commander says, go, there's a way out. The firefighter doesn't see the exit yet. He moves because he trusts the voice giving the command. That's Abraham. God already knew Abraham's heart, but we needed to see what faith really looks like. Faith looks like Abraham walking up Mount Moriah, step by step, trusting God completely. And that's why this story matters to us. Life often feels like walking up that mountain. We don't always understand what God is doing, and we don't always see the outcome, but we walk anyway. And how do we know God's ways? Through Scripture. We learn what He loves, what He hates, and how He leads. And as we're walking up that mountain of life, sometimes we slip and sometimes we stumble. But faith means getting back on the path, not walking away from it altogether. Faith isn't perfection. Faith is continuing to follow God, even when the path is hard. Just like Abraham walking up that mountain, we must walk in the ways of the Lord. Psalm 128:1, blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in His ways.